Greetings and salutations and welcome back to Battlefleet Gothic Armada. And boy was there a lot more to this game even in its current state than I imagined. I keep saying things like that, but holy wow, like the classes of ships just keep going up. I think there's one more class of ship above Battlecruiser. I'm looking forward to getting a Battlecruiser, to be fair. But yeah, it's been going well. This is the Light of Sol. It is still my capital ship. I mean, it's level 5. It's got 3 abilities, which is kind of great, due to the Adeptus Mechanicus being on board. I've probably gone over all this already, but, you know, let's revisit the fleet. Currently, it's got 2 abilities: Improved Warp Engine and Auxiliary Shield Capacitors. The shields regenerate quicker, and I can warp out faster. That's because this is typically my capital ship, and warping out your capital ship is often a means of victory. The Watchful Sentry, when it reaches level 4, will potentially also get improved warp engines, but because it has a stealth bent, I actually think it would be more beneficial to take the Asteroid Negation upgrade, allowing me to use asteroid fields as basic gas clouds. I can sit inside it invisible without suffering the negative effect of running into a bunch of crud. And the grand strategy that can be played using a combination of stealth, camouflage, beacons, look, the stories I could tell you, but you don't have 10 minutes. This is, of course, a ship belonging to the Inquisition. It's actually rather glorious. The Inquisition has the Emperor's Tarot, which, you know, you pick an enemy ship, bleep, and you figure out what ship it is. Quite useful in a variety of game modes for figuring out the mind games of your opponent. Unfortunately, it's got a fairly long cooldown of 120 seconds, so it's really about the luck or having a large Inquisition fleet, but I want to try out everything much more than I want basically any other thing. Like, I'd rather try everything than build a dedicated fleet at this point in time. Lastly, we have the Keepers of Knives, which, as you can tell by the glorious ostentatious gold plating, has a crew of Adeptus Astartes, and this is one of my I'ma beat you up ships. That's what it's for. Consequently, its skills include a micro warp jump, allowing me to blink into range to drop troops on my opponent if they consistently outrange me, and it's got an enhanced battle bridge so that I can still board while the bridge is destroyed. I believe that's included in special orders, but I'm not entirely sure. There's not actually a great deal of modifiers, with the exception of the additional teleportarium. Not a great deal that actually allows you to improve your boarding, with, of course, the exception of the crew. And as I've maxed out my ratings, well, yeah. Quality day. This ship has, as I mentioned, the enhanced battle bridge and the additional teleportarium. So it's all about getting close and dumping troops on the enemy fleet to try and blow shit up. However, this is becoming less and less effective the more people I encounter with higher value fleets, because they've got bigger ships generally, which is actually what we're going to go into next. But lastly, we have the Liberation of Fear, a Tyrant class cruiser. Now, all light cruisers are Dauntless or Dauntless Mark II. That's just the way life is. But the Tyrant is a cruiser, and there's 5 different cruisers available. I could purchase another slot with 200 of my points, but I don't think I'm going to do that at this particular juncture. However, there's 5 different ships, and each of them is vastly different to the others. They've got different weapons. This one's got micro batteries and macro batteries, and plasma macro batteries. It's essentially a broadsiding vessel with 6 torpedo tubes up the front, which gives it a lot wider spread for long distance firing, which is quite useful, and a massive damage potential for short distance firing, because bypasses shield directly. Each torpedo deals 450 damage if it manages to get through all the defense emplacements. This ship has served me very well. It's currently under the favor of the Imperial Navy, which is I believe how I'm going to keep it. It cost me a small fortune after all. But it means the ship is immune to insubordination. I very rarely use it as a capital ship because of that. And it means I can bring in, at any point in the game with a cooldown of 150 seconds, a reinforcement Cobra class escort ship. Meaning if I can keep the game running, that's unlikely to happen, but if I can do it, I can just keep warping in ships near this ship. Useful. And because it's a tank, though I haven't actually made that clear, its two abilities are Supercharged Void Shield, rendering its shields impenetrable for 10 seconds. I'm guessing that means invulnerable, but it may just mean that torpedoes and bombers cannot bypass your shields and they have to damage your shields directly. It's one of those things that I'm not entirely clear on. Secondly, it's got a taunt. A target ship becomes uncontrollable and attempts to attack this ship at close range for 15 seconds. They just fly at you, guns blazing. Quite useful for drawing fire off key players in the game. It's got armor-piercing ammunition because it's designed to be a brawler. As we continue to upgrade this ship, I'm going to make it tanky as balls. I'm going to increase its hull, potentially increase the defense turrets, I'm not entirely sure, but do what I can to make this ship a powerhouse of defense. Having long-range macro weaponry doesn't seem like a great decision. The targeting matrix, again, it only affects ranges beyond 6k, so I've got the weapon upgrades I want. Now I just want to make it durable, adding hull paneling, adding void shield generators, doing what I can to turn this into a super tank, because that's its purpose in my navy. Additionally, as you level up, at levels 4 and 5, you get upgrades to your escort ships. I haven't taken advantage of any of these yet. My plan is to get navigational shields on the Cobra destroyer, and I haven't really decided on anything else. Decent chance that the sword frigate is going to get the speed, because I see a lot of value in being able to move quickly for scouting purposes, and that's generally what I use a sword for, whereas a firestorm I use much more multi-purposely, fully. The chance exists, as it's got a light prow lance, and prow lances aren't terrible. Hell, they're quite good. That I could potentially rig it with navigational shield so that it's safer in more locations, and get a bunch of power buffs onto the lance and use it as a sniper. 9,000 range on an escort ship is pretty damn good. Use the lock-on ability to increase the critical chance by 300% and 50% more damage to shields. Like, there's strength in that, I think. And if I could also get my hands on the generator, I could hide it in an asteroid field and just snipe from within said asteroid field. They'd eventually figure it out because, you know, the giant blue lasers. But such is life. Probably also put in maneuvering thrusters so I can angle them better. But that's like, that's already 5 upgrades. I can only fit in 2. And the upgrades are expensive as heck, which is why I've been avoiding them. One more thing before we have ourselves a game. Let's find out what battlecruisers are available, shall we? Let's add something really, really big. Each of these has 3 skill slots. That's impressive. I won't be able to equip any skills just yet, so it's unlikely that I'm going to bring it to the fight, but we'll see what happens. That is slower as all hell. And our options. Excuse me. Heavy torpedo launcher, that's 6 torpedoes, based off the prow, obviously. 2 lance turrets with wide arcs of fire, in fact the full arc of fire. They're lances, so they're armor piercing and accurate, they always hit, and they're also very long range. Critical chances is, I believe, fairly high, but I don't know how the criticals are rolled. If it's like, if that's 3%, I don't know. I simply don't know, and makes it hard to work with. And plasma macro batteries. That seems oddly similar to the Tyrant. It seems like a bigger Tyrant. I suspect it even has the same hull integrity, but I couldn't say for sure. So that's probably not what we're going to go with. Other option is the Mars, which has a Novacannon. Novacannons are damage 200. That is a lot. Armor piercing. Highly effective. AoE damage. However, it's imprecise, and every time you fire it, you've got a 5% chance of destroying the weapon. 2,500 range. That exceeds the maximum range of fighter-bomber squadrons. There are strategies, and I forget the instructional manual's name, but there's an instructional manual for this game that came out. A tactical manual, I should say. It's got a very Gothic sounding name. It describes a strategy within about that the Imperium of Man typically uses, that's just have as many ships as you can fielding Nova cannons, minimum of 2. Potentially a small fleet defending it, and then fire your Nova cannons. Destroy your enemy before they make melee range, or combat range, because there is a minimum range for the Nova cannon, which is the typical, I think, 6,000, maybe even 9,000 range that most engagements occur at, meaning you can't continue to employ the weapon once they close into attack range. But you can easily destroy all their escort ships, or at long range, the objectives. Insane. 2 lance turrets, 2 macro batteries, damage of 18. I'm guessing the plasma macro battery has more damage? No. Those are stronger macro batteries. I'm still learning. Much double the range. I see. And an ordnance launch bay. I've been playing Chaos predominantly in single player, and I've learned to love ordnance launch bays. Interesting thing is that squadrons don't seem to get better. Hold Alt for more. Yeah. Very few ships. Like, you can have, if you're playing Chaos, an ordnance launch bay in your light cruisers. You've actually got 2 ordnance launch bays. The cruisers also have 2 ordnance launch bays. I'm not level 5 in Chaos yet, but I suspect that, like, 2 ordnance launch bays is going to be generally what it sits at. Look at that Novacannon. Look at that thing. We'll have to fire that in battle at some point, but is this not the most glorious thing you've ever seen? No, it's not. I can tell you that now, because there are more glorious things later down the line. However, as we now have 14 points, I cannot afford any of the skills. Blink is almost a necessity for a ship like this. Stasis Bomb is also very, very valuable, because you can trap your enemy in stasis and then flee back to a range where you can fight them. Just musing. A Taunt is the opposite of useful. Void Shield Transport to support the rest of your fleet? Maybe. Bombs would also be good. Particularly if you could get them with the Disruption Bomb, but their range is not amazing. Regardless, we'll figure that out later. Let's find ourselves a game. Hopefully a high point value one, so I can recuperate my losses. I did make all 300 points in the last battle, because the fights are getting big. The point limits are, like, for most recently I had 640 something, but no, we're having a nice small game. There's no point even fielding this for a fight this size, but we're going to anyway. 2 Cobras. I'm making terrible decisions right now, I can tell you that. But, if we can hide the Mars in a gas cloud right from the start, they might not ever know it's there. And we can just rain deadly havoc on them. Problem with the Novacannon is it's inaccurate, and your opponent will know it's been fired. Let's hope it doesn't explode, shall we? Let's hope it doesn't explode. I'm not even... Oh, I'm up against Chaos. At least Chaos like to keep things ranged. Okay, so my stealth options are limited. No, I'm not going to call him a heretic because I'm not entirely sure I can pronounce it correctly. Yes, that's the reason. We ready up and we wait.
Going silent.
Probably predictable as all hell.
At your command. Yes, Admiral. At your command.
He's brought 4 ships.
Ships ready.
Cannot identify anything at this range. So it's just about of waiting and seeing if my Novacannon is worth the salt.
Your orders?
On the plus side, we might hit them with torpedoes. Ready? Fire! I think I even hit.
Awaiting orders.
Enemy ship sighted.
How did we... Oh, they performed evasive maneuvers.
Your orders?
Awaiting orders.
At your command.
Your orders?
Send in a squadron of bombers.
At your command.
Send them in, boys!
Enemy ship sighted.
Course plotted.
This is bad.
Yes, Admiral.
Enemy ship sighted.
Come on, get out of there!
Ship ready. Lock on target.
Oh, I accidentally clicked fighters. Well, that's not good for me.
Awaiting orders.
We need to bring weapons to bear before this becomes a problem.
At your command. Your orders?
Enemy ship sighted.
Yes, Admiral. Ship ready.
Gentlemen, put out the fire, please.
Ship ready.
Initiate emergency repairs. Your orders? At your command.
Awaiting orders.
Awaiting orders.
Your orders? Activating tactical cogitators.
At your command.
Course plotted.
Yes, Admiral.
Well, the much larger ship's proving helpful, but we're now got them well within our ranges, and that's bad.
Your orders? Yes, Admiral. Ship ready. Lock on target. Awaiting
Are they gonna
orders.
try and play the range game? I assure you, sirs,
At your
that
command.
won't work. Actually, it might.
At your command. Yes, Admiral. At your command. Ship ready.
Yeah, this isn't good at this point. This is the opposite of dandy.
Ship ready. Your orders?
Your orders?
Send in the bombers!
Yes, Admiral.
Fire that I didn't want to deal with, and we're not going to be able to deal with it. 14
Awaiting
seconds
orders.
is much too long. Heavy damage.
Awaiting
Ship down.
orders.
And they're flying through an asteroid field, or they should
Yes,
be.
Admiral.
That's what that looks like they're doing.
Your orders?
Engage the
Initiate
repairs,
emergency
because we
repairs.
need them.
At your command.
Didn't know you could hide behind a record of a ship for that. Just
Your
block the
orders?
torpedo. Oh, they got the interceptors and the
Ship
generators.
ready.
Oh, they boarded me? Put out the
Damage
fire,
teams
gentlemen.
Begin repairs now.
And then get on their tail.
Awaiting orders.
Gentlemen! Engage ramming speed! Yeah, we missed. We don't have the right angle. This is what happens when your engines have been destroyed, fool. Flee into the warp. Flee into the warp. I can't believe that worked. Look at that tumble through space. Oh, this game's getting more stable with every patch. It's glorious. It's glorious. Glorious and victorious am I. Not many points in a battle so small, though. Granted, the Shield of Justice leveled up. That ship's gonna need a different name. Look at that squadron sergeant. He looks like a freak. That is a very useful thing to have. As is extra critical chance. Navigator not so much, because I tend to get blown up rather than run away, although that's starting to cost me a fortune. We're gonna have to go with cooldown time. And continue to level cooldown time, because this ship is based on the Novacannon. And the more often I can fire that, the happier I will be. Because the Novacannon projectile doesn't exist, doesn't have a travel time, stasis bomb's probably going to be my first bet, because then I can stasis them, line up the shot, shoot them, they can't avoid. I win. The end. Can we afford to upgrade? I'm guessing they cost a fortune. To be honest, I probably... Let's think about this. I think the most value to be had is maintaining distance. What weapon? That's a weapon, not an ability, meaning that it's not tied to any particular ship component that can be destroyed. None of these are going to help. That's lances. That's macro weapons. None of those are going to help. Although reload is valuable. Probably engines, emissions dampeners or dissipators, so that I can hide better. Maneuvering thrusters, efficient plasma thrusters. Probably get maneuvering thrusters first, let's be fair. Although increasing the maximum speed of this thing could take it from 150, because that's a flat upgrade. Here's the thing. Auxiliary power relays may be the best upgrade in the game, because it increases the maximum speed by a flat 50 points on everything. Meaning your Cobras, throw some efficient relays on that, that is 275 speed. That is more than any other ship I've seen by far. Speed is valuable, extremely valuable. So yeah, look, the strength of that is real. But we can't add anything to this ship just yet, so all that's left to do is change the name. Due to the visuals of the Novacannon, I want something to do with lightning. The anticipated storm. Because it's such long range. Like, that weapon, when it fires, particularly at the first round of the battle, lets you know it's going to be a fight. My fleet is coming, and you're going to take some hits. Oh yes, I love this game so very, very much. See you next time.